Alright, hello and welcome back to Ashgabat Cat's Let's Play That. You know, I often say that each one of these arcade games could have been someone's personal arcade game. Like, nobody knows how precisely they stumbled upon it, but they did, and that arcade game becomes something special to them, something emblematic of their whole childhood. Well, we've stumbled on just such a game for myself. Now, I didn't actually stumble upon this in an arcade. For whatever reason, my middle school had a few semi-dilapidated arcade cabinets, and one of them was Neck and Neck. Now, at first you might ask, why would you bother having a game that's primarily just there for distributing tickets in your middle school? But check that out. Insert coin, there are 6 of them. That means you could have simultaneous 6-player multiplayer. So when you've got a horde of middle schoolers just willing to throw away their lunch break to play an arcade game, if you can play 6 players at once, you're in the money. Now, this intro has a whole lot of stuff about tickets, and that I don't really understand. Because, I mean, well, obviously it's a middle school, they're not going to redeem tickets for prizes. I mean, you redeem grades for prizes and not tickets. So, that's a little bit weird to me. But otherwise, I mean, it's exactly how I remember. So this game is a little bit interesting. You've got 6 buttons, all on the control panel. Each one corresponds to a different horse. So that means you control the game entirely through one button. So all you do is you press that button, and then your horse jumps. Now, it sounds easy, but there's like so much detail in like precisely when do you jump. Oh my gosh, it's been years. I have to find that sweet spot again. And then also too, they kind of throw curveballs at you. So as you can see, there's like water, and so that kind of complicates things. It's like, well, precisely when do you actually jump? And also there's a funny little detail where if one of your horses jumps into the water, like you jump and then you would land in the water, then your horse briefly goes underwater. So it's like you're a scuba diving horse. And then the little steeple chapels kind of break where they are, or they break where you hit them, so you can kind of see who's like the worst horse, who's dragging you guys down. Oh man. And yeah, you usually have like, it's really hard to explain, but there are a lot of windows on the certain obstacles, and you actually can move up and down based on your timing. Like, your timing can be mostly good, and you can still end up in the middle of the pack. Oh, ticket problems out of tickets. That's a disappointment. Hold on while I contact my ticket administrator. So, my ticket administrator did not have any tickets, so I took it upon myself to just restart the whole system, and let's see if this works now. But anyway, like I was saying, oh, and then the horses, they have these funny little names, and then actually, like, trivial as though this may be, there are like 1,000 courses-ish in this game, probably only like hundreds, but still, there are unique courses. It's not like the same course every time. This isn't Pac-Man, man. You actually have different mazes for the horses. And then, oh man, and it keeps track of like the best times on each one. I don't know if that's actually true. Oh, that's right. And then there are randomized horses. And the horses all come in different colors. And sometimes there's the light blue horse. I like that horse the best. And then you come in all sorts of pleasing horse hues, as it were. I mean, it's of course random luck of the draw what horse you get, and they're probably all the same. Although, given that this is essentially a horse betting game, I can almost imagine that some of the horses actually are better. And then, as people started playing in certain positions on the actual arcade cabinet, people would start like forming those, you know, typical schoolyard superstitions where you start thinking that like, oh man, player 4 is the best. Oh yeah, and if you're a little bit too flagging, then you fall off your horse and you start like parasailing right behind. Hello, Mutter. Eat tickets. Uh-oh, ticket problems. Well, it might be annoying to have to reset the game every time just because you, quote-unquote, ran out of tickets. But that is a sacrifice I'm willing to take, because this game not only is this game my childhood, this game is childhood. And the cool thing too is like you could just bring this to somebody's party and like have 6-player horse racing. Now, I mean, yeah, maybe they may not be that into it at first, but I feel like if you keep kind of pushing it, then people would kind of get into it. And the logistics of it are about as easy as you can get. I mean, 6 buttons, it's like I can't think of any easier input method than even those games where you kind of like everyone has their smartphone and they all play in the game using that. And it's like even this is way more convenient than that even. Actually, if you are some sort of masochist, you could even get everybody playing on the same like Xbox 360 controller or something. That's not something I recommend, but it is something that could be done. Not by a sane person, but well, let's be realistic. Would a sane person bring a horse racing game to their friends' hangout and be like, "Hey guys, let's play neck and neck," and you're just like, "What are you talking about?" And then after the end, you're like, "Number 3 is a cheater. Number 3 always wins." That's bullcrap. I also kind of like love that ambiance. Well, okay, take it, problem. I also love the general atmosphere of this game because you've got like the announcer's voice kind of going off in the distance, and then when you win that race, you've got the announcers just kind of like talking, chattering, and like it makes this game feel exciting. Like it's an exciting day at the races. It's not like maybe a sad, depressing, what have you done with your life? Why is the highlight of your life horse racing sort of aspect of horse racing? It's more on the look at those majestic beasts run. Look at them exercise their beastly rights as they go full throttle down a raceway or whatnot. That's kind of the theme of this. And also, too, it's a surprisingly hard and surprisingly subtle game. I mean, you might think it's like, okay, one button, you make the horse jump, right? But there's just so much love and care put into that timing. Like, when you're... Even though there's only one input mechanism, like, the subtlety to it all is astounding. And then the other thing, too, is... I mean, it's not like there's no precedent for games that use almost overly simplified control mechanics. Oh yeah, weird little glitch with the hurdles. Even if somebody knocks the bar down, you can still jump over it for an extra speed boost. I mean, you can run over it and not get slowed down, but you can actually jump over it and still get that speed boost. Pro tips. Pro neck and neck tips. Where's that ticket administrator when you need him? It's just fun. It's just a fun game. Oh, right, like I was saying, it's not like there's no precedent for almost overly simplified controls. Like if you've heard this game Dive Kick, it's this fighting game that goes off of either 1 or 2 buttons. It has to be 2. So in fighting games, a very prominent move is the dive kick, where you run forward. If you're in a good King of Fighters game, then you jump up, and then you press the kick button. And so dive kick distills the entirety of a fighting game down to just 2 buttons. One is jump, one is kick. And from that, I hear people have actually managed to make like a decent, passable fighting game. And like some people get into it. And you introduce like a whole bunch of characters, and they all got special abilities, and they all look different, and you make like what is, for all intents and purposes, a decent, pretty cool fighting game. And so I kind of feel like this game sort of, you know, I've always been torn. Do you jump over the water puddles, or do you just run over them? I think you can jump over them for a speed boost, but like most of my experience with this game, it's kind of tinged with a hint of superstition, because I feel like nobody really knows how this game works. Nobody really knows what's going on underneath. Ooh, I got last place, so maybe I won't have to deal with the ticket monster. Oh, you still get tickets for last place? Oh, because it's giving you money based on time. Oh, that's clever. Clever though it may be, you're still not getting any tickets. Oh man. man. And they all, even all the races have little names, or maybe Ups and Downs is the entire racing series as a whole. Oh, weird, all our horses are the same color. Oh, that's right, and you start like discriminating against horses. You're like, oh man, silver horses are so fast, they should be outlawed. And then you start seeing black horses, you're like, whoa, a black horse, I haven't seen one of those in a long time. And then you start seeing chestnut, and then you see the brown, and then you see everything in between, and you start appreciating the finer points of horse color. You're like, well, your almond horse is not quite as good as my chestnut horse, but I am a little bit jealous of their hazel horse. But it really has nothing to do with their mustachio horse, or their mulatto horse, or their... And then you just keep going on and on. We didn't actually talk like that because, again, we were middle schoolers. Our words were mostly, you cheater, and the horse. But, man, that was fun. And also, too, like, it would bring, like, all sorts of kids together. Like, you go to an arcade, and I'm sure you can imagine what the people look like. But you go to this particular arcade. Oop, there we go, submarine horse. You go to this particular arcade, and, like, it's not at all like that. It's just, well, people you'd see at middle school. And that was fun. Another fun thing that we had at our middle school break room was air hockey. Man, have you ever gotten, like, hardcore into air hockey? There is a lot of techniques. Well, okay, so usually I'd imagine the prototypical experience of air hockey is you've got one set up in your basement. And so whenever you invite people over, like hand-picked, curated people, your friends, one might say, to visit and play your air hockey, then it's like, okay, you kind of play against your friends, and it's like nice, happy, fun matches. No, this was like an arcade. So like, we would form two lines on either, or no, we'd form up a big line, and the winner stays, loser leaves. And oh my gosh, I've never seen so much salt in a middle school setting before. And then you start getting all these different techniques. Like, have you ever seen the technique where you basically rest your palm on the board? It's sort of cheating because you can, like, you get better leverage and you can block the puck. But on the other hand, like, those pucks go pretty darn fast. Like, they really hurt if they hit you. And so it's not without its negatives. And so you get that sort of technique going, and then you get people yelling. It's like, hey, that's cheating. Oh man, that isometric perspective. So it like kind of goes at a diagonal. So you have to like really squint to see which horse is in the lead. You're like, oh my gosh, is their horse, is it my horse? And then they win by a nose, and you're like, horse racing. And so anyway, you get this whole line of yahoos playing air hockey, and oh my gosh, that is just... It's such a scrum, but it's so much fun, that kind of atmosphere, and you get like people coming up with their own techniques, and you get this one kid is like, oh man, I got this new experimental air hockey technique, and he plays, and then he just loses, and you just all laugh at him. You're like, put your wrist on the table, that's how it's done. And then you get different people kind of like to bounce it around a lot. Some people just like to power through. Oh man, that's right. You power through, and sometimes that puck will leave the table. Now, the designers of that particular air hockey table were very wise and put plastic dividers on the sides. So you couldn't, like, you know, immediately murder the bystanders. But, oh man, there was no plastic guards for the two players. Now, it was never, of course, an officially sanctioned strategy to shoot the puck and injure your other player. And of course, such methods were highly frowned upon, but I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not like they didn't happen. Oh man, those were good times. Violent, in retrospect disturbing, but at the time, good times. Good times. It's kind of like Lord of the Flies if you kind of lowered all the stakes and then you focused it all around air hockey. Now you see those other times, I'm pretty sure those times are impossible to get. Like, that's such nonsense, like 1,000 tickets, it's like, that's such a scam. You're never gonna get 1,000 tickets from this game. Then again, I guess the whole ticket ecosystem kind of takes itself from, you know, carnival huckster games, and those games, it's like, you're never gonna win those games. They are obviously rigged against you. So I guess it shouldn't be surprising at all that this game is kind of rigged against you. I'll admit, that was kind of a disappointment to learn that, like, it distributed tickets, but that it distributed tickets in a way that, like, you could essentially never get the super huge jackpots. Because I mean, as a kid, I was free from all of this ticket nonsense, so I was free from, like, all of the behind-the-scenes corruption. But then my eyes were opened, and, well, they can't be unopened. I guess the proper verb is closed. Oh, man. Actually, is there no speed penalty for just randomly jumping? Because it seems like you get a speed penalty if you jump at the wrong time, but if you jump at, like, any other time, then it's not so bad. I also like the built-in catch-up mechanism, whereby if you're in first place, your horse is on the right. Okay, that part is obvious. What's not so obvious is then it becomes a little bit hard to see what's coming. And so you have to have pretty quick reflexes, whereas if you're a horse in the middle, then you can jump at the right time and get, like, a really huge speed boost, especially if the player won. Number 3 won because, like, he was further down. Yeah, horse 3 won. It's, oh man, that board is so hard to read. So I came in first and I get 2. Well, okay, I came in second. I get 2 tickets. That's a scam. That's a scam. Actually, I found one of these in a real life arcade, like, in the past, and that might have been one with the tickets. And then I played it, and I don't know. A lot of these arcade games, so much of the fun comes from, like, the context of the game, like being in a loud, bright arcade with, like, a bunch of people going around having fun. I think that kind of helps make a game seem more fun and more intense. And then there's always the possibility that if you're doing, like, really well, then you get a kid coming by who's like, wow, you're so good at this game. I haven't been to that many arcades, and I think that only ever happened once, but I'm actually not even sure if that's real. I imagined it was a dream, stole it from a movie, whatever, but... Oh, man. Arcades. Why are they gone? What happened to them? Now everybody just plays online on Xbox Live, and it's fun, and you can, like, hear them, I guess. But there are times when I wish I couldn't hear them. There are times when I wish I could look in their eyes and just see that look of defeat, just knowing that you completely clobbered them. And then you start getting the metagames of adding in quarters, and it's like, once you start adding an actual cost per game, then it starts, like, dominating somebody starts feeling a whole lot different when you put in, like, 1 quarter and they put in, like, 7 in a row to beat your butt. Oh, see, the horse god smiled on us. Even though I got, like, 7 trillionth place, I still got 5 tickets. Oh, man. Childhood. You can never go back, but at least you can look on it fondly. Unless you had a bad childhood, in which case, well, try to make your present as good as possible. And then, in 10 years, you can look back on that. You could be like, oh man, my mid-30s were best time in my life. Sunshine years of my life. I guess you, if you're quiet enough, you can actually hear the tick-tock of that little clock. Alright, well, I'll admit this game is fun. I am losing momentum each time I have to contact the ticket manager. That guy is squirrelier than that last place horse. Oh, but I will say this. So, you might think the dominant strategy is just play the best and go in first place. But just like Mario Kart, there's sometimes an advantage to being in the middle of the pack. Now, not Mario Kart 8, because Mario Kart 8, especially Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the Switch, there are just so many items, you just get absolutely assaulted if you're in anything other than first place. But in this game, what you can do is you can kind of hang back in the back, and then just snipe that first player. As soon as they make a mistake, you make a perfect jump, you go flying right past them, and then, when the game's over, you kind of look at them and you kind of smile. You're like, yeah, man, that's what's what. Oh, arcade gods are smiling on us. I think the deal is, like, some courses are longer than others. And so that's how you get, like, the various times. So, I mean, like, Not only is horse racing a betting game, this game further compounds it by randomizing the courses you play on, and then thus randomizing the ticket payoffs. I'm pretty sure they give the arcade owners a manual. It's like, here are all the expected ticket payoff modes, and you can throw all this, and the arcade manager's like, interesting. Well, our army men go for about this, so I should choose these settings. Well, that was quite the blast from the past, but I gotta trade all these tickets in for some, little plastic army men and little pieces of bubblegum. So on that note, this cat's got a scat.